Good morning, it's 8:15 a.m. and we are here for our legislative update. Good morning, Zach.
Good morning. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, morning, Zach.
Wonderful. Well, it's a relatively short one this week. It's kind of that middle week here in the coming into the end of session. We're coming up on our final our final policy cutoff tomorrow. And there's really not a whole heck of a lot to talk about other than budgets. It's kind of ugly. I'm sure you guys have seen all the stuff on the news coming through with higher taxes and more spending and not a whole lot of cuts in places that we're super happy about. One of the things that the Senate's doing is they're taking about 280 million, at least in their budget. It's not done yet, but in their budget, they took about 280 million out of the 400 million public works budget to transfer it to the general fund to cover other things. So not the best plan for us out here in the rural areas. That's kind of one of the things that we're watching. The Wasatch policy guys are kind of breaking down the rest of the budget to see what we really have to deal with. But the general conversation last Thursday at our lobbyist meeting in the evening was kind of, hey, we're not terribly unhappy with the budget. They haven't hurt us too much. They didn't really give us anything, but they haven't hurt us too much. Kind of the status quo, I guess, for the last few years. Please just don't take anything away from us or make us do anything else that costs us money. So outside of that, I mean, it's just all budget. It really is. And the questions are going to be, how are the three budgets going to align? Republicans are obviously very unhappy with the budgets. The Democrats are planning on increasing taxes. I think I put it in my report. Seattle put a payroll tax on the books and came up about 47 million short because a lot of the different businesses, the larger businesses in Seattle, either moved people down to Bellevue or just did remote work and didn't have the payroll taxes. So Seattle's pretty unhappy about that, but they think it's a really good idea to do that in the rest of the state, and it might work. It might keep employers here. So I don't know how this is going to shake out. It's going to be really interesting. We're going to see how conservative Governor Ferguson really is. For what people thought he was going to be, we have seen a lot more conservative behavior than what we had expected, but we will see when the budgets come down. And he's still very, very adamant about his 100 million for public safety, new police officers. So, and they didn't really give it to him. They really don't know what to do with that ask. So it's going to be an interesting end to session. And again, I think I'd reiterate, I would not be surprised with the way that our attorney general's behaving and kind of everybody in the state doubling down against Trump right now if we lose some federal funding throughout the year and then end up having to come back to a special session to figure out how to adjust the budget. Oddly enough, on the budgets, they are passing bills this year that they know are bad policy. And they're flat out telling us, no, we really don't want to hear it. We want to pass this bill so we get it out and then we'll come back next year and fix it. Whether that's complete truth or they just want to pass things, I don't know. But the simple fact is, it is way easier in this process to do it right the first time than it is to try and do it over. So, and that's coming from agencies. This is a confusing year. So, I don't really know what more to say. Do you guys have any questions specifically about the budgets that I can look into or anything that's going on? Comments?
It's not going to work.
Well, I would tend to agree.
Yeah.
I think
It's being on all sides of it, kind of in business and rentals and being a commissioner, watching all of it. It's like, who is making these decisions?
you know, it's an interesting political position to be in. Who's making the decisions? Right now, simply the Democratic Party, the Democratic members over there.
Many of
Um,
them own businesses or, have jobs. I would
a
assume
lot of them,
do.
not really. Haven't been business owners. Some of them have. But that's what we get with the citizen legislature, right? You end up with a lot of people that haven't done these things and haven't owned property. And just watch the floor debates. They were talking about the rent control bill that came out, and the Representative Engel from up in the seventh district, new representative, just got done working for Kathy McMorris Rogers as her chief of staff for Washington State and stepped into that representative role here in Washington. And on the rent control bill, he said, "Look, I've been a landlord for years. I've got somewhere between 12 and 20 rentals that he manages." And he said, "Basically, what you guys are doing is I'm going to have to raise rent 7% every year just to keep up." And he said, "I haven't raised rent in quite a long time, but I'm going to have to start now." I don't know. Rent controls never worked. Look at New York, look at Chicago, Detroit. I mean, it never has. But let's try it here. So I think the answer to your question is I have no idea what they're thinking. I really don't know. I don't know. We can speculate, but I have no idea. And that's just one of the many policies that just don't make sense. We seem to be focusing at the state level here, and maybe at some of the bigger counties, on treating the symptoms and not actually addressing the problems.
Yeah.
So now we could go on all day about that, but I think that what we're seeing is going to be a bigger budget shortfall. And one of the comments that I've heard thrown around is, Christine Gregoire, when she was governor, barely saved Boeing from leaving and going to, is it North Carolina or South Carolina or somewhere down there, in the southeast where they do have a factory. They were going to move all their operations out of Washington State, and I would say if a lot of the legislation passes a payroll tax, for example, on a statewide basis, I wouldn't blame Boeing for saying, yeah, I think we're just gonna head to a more conservative state. That would be a heck of a blow to the I-5 corridor, and our tax base for that matter. So I guess we'll see. And I agree. I don't think it's going to work, but they're going to try.
And then costs of everything are going to go up.
That is true. I think that we're going
Their
to see.
budget deficit will then get bigger because the cost of everything went up. So,
Well, and I think, we're looking at raising the gas tax again, already the highest in the nation, of course, putting on a payroll tax. Washington is becoming not a very business-friendly state. We've been working, for the local agricultural producers, trying to get or maintain exemptions, anything we can get, for off-road diesel, whatever, anything that we can get for the ag community. And even that's a fight. I mean, they're coming after the cows, they're coming after the dairies, the feedlots, all that stuff. I mean, it's going to be interesting. We lose the dairies and feedlots. A lot of the corn produced in the basin will go to other crops. So it is kind of a trickle down effect here.
So what they should do is go into every store in King County, take all the meat out of it, all the milk out of it, and then see what kind of
Well,
fit
you're
they
talking
have
about
over
greens
there.
too, so it's your grains, your cereals,
Yeah, I
your,
mean, remove all the dairy products,
your wheat.
all the food from the shelves, and see
Well,
what
but
happens.
that wouldn't matter because it all comes from the grocery store.
From the store, yeah, they'll just get it in another store, yeah.
Yeah, that's they don't know where it's actually produced. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, and at some point there has to be a correction. I mean, watch California. We're headed that way very, very, very quickly. So there's been a mass exodus from California. A lot of them come here. A lot of them gone to Texas, Idaho. Um, California used to be a beautiful state. I hope they don't say that about Washington soon.
We're headed that direction.
So, but as we come through probably the next week and a half. They've got another week here after tomorrow where they're working on the fiscal bills, of course, and necessary to implement the budget bills. Well, they're going to go clear down to the end. The only fight that we're really going to see, I think, this year with respect to budgets is going to be between the governor and the legislature. That it's interesting. His party doesn't like him at all right now. They are not happy with him. So we'll see what he decides to veto and how long he keeps him here. I think there's a lot of pressure to, quote, balance the budget. So we'll see. We'll see how it comes down. And we haven't heard a lot from Ferguson, so it really is a pretty big unknown for us right now. So it's going to be interesting. No, other than that, I don't have a whole heck of a lot for you guys. There's not much going on, and we're kind of on cruise control at the moment.
All right.
Thank you.
So, well, as always, call, text, email anytime. I'll be available. If I'm not, I'll get right back to you. And, just let me know if anything pops up, kind of weird or anything in the next few days, I'll let you know. Otherwise, we'll hear more about budgets and the breakdown at the steering committee.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All righty. Thank you, guys. Have a great day.
You too.
We'll go into recess until 8:30. Good morning, it's 8:30 a.m. and we are here for consent agenda review / work session. Commissioners, were there any consent agenda items that jumped out to you, or we can use this time to review some of them?
I am assuming the surcharge is the one that is, I believe it was in July of several years ago. The recording fee surcharge distribution agreement.
Yep.
It's kind of one that was set by RCW.
That's one for Nicole, the one you're talking about.
Yeah.
No, it should be for the city most
City
likely.
and Housing Authority.
Right.
But the city gets a portion of it
City is
on top
going,
of the 2160.
city's going to be denying their portion soon.
Okay, because
They're
they came.
closing the sleep center, I think, is their plan in June.
That's what I'm hearing.
That's what I was called and told.
So this is not, I mean,
The 23% is the money for the immediate overnight housing availability.
because this is above and beyond the portion that you guys segregate or divide between and the housing authority.
What are you saying?
There's a different pot of money.
Yeah, but this is the 23% based on their portion of the fee.
Okay.
I think they could go even higher, but that's the minimum.
So will that change after the city closes the sleep center?
I'm not sure.
Well, they can use it elsewhere.
They could use it for other programs then?
Well, like if, I think they can use it for like housing, hotel rooms,
Hotels.
anything that helps it. I think it has to be with homeless or not homeless, but it has to be with homeless.
And I don't know what they're doing as far as if they're closing their whole program. I don't know any of that.
South Assistance Program.
The city seems to think that the shelter could rotate throughout the county to other towns. I don't believe that the homeless population is going to move to a small town because
No, they're not.
there's just not money in them for them. So But
What they paid for that sleep center, they could have bought a old hotel,
they did.
bought another one.
They just don't use it because they get trashed and you can't keep up with keeping them usable.
Sense to me why a person would be homeless in a trash place.
People that need the hand up aren't the ones getting the assistance. People that know how to work the system and abuse the landlords, they're getting the assistance. Or we should say 50-50. How about that?
Yeah,
I'll give the benefit of the doubt. Surplusing a air conditioning machine.
yeah, it's already been thrown away.
Oh yeah,
That's what it said.
you have to surplus it even if it breaks down.
I would assume so. I mean, because they're taking that tag and the model number off off our assets. Yeah, it's removed and disposed of by Grant County Facilities and Maintenance, so I assume that they cycled it. See, their state approved the bridge, replacement of that bridge. That was good.
Very good.
Fucked out on that one.
Don, which project was Varela?
The pavement rating conditions.
Oh. I can't remember.
Do they do those field ratings every year?
Every 2 years.
Every 2 years.
Yeah. And this is a company that has done it for ever, basically for us. They do a good job and they know what they're looking for, especially on our roads. So
And on the CRAB certification request, I did digitally do that yesterday.
oh, okay. I think that was kind of the last thing Dave had to get into him by today.
That's what he emailed me yesterday, and just that's what he said.
Yeah.
Trying to get it done. He didn't want it to get missed. He wasn't going to be here.
Yeah.
So I just clicked my name.
So for the walk-ons, do we have one or two?
I only know of the one from Tom, contract between Grant County and Stan's Construction for $36,519.66.
36,519.
Yeah, 36,519.66 for project CSD 2504 FG horse barn water upgrades. Why is this one being walked on though?
I think he had to rebid it.
Oh, okay.
There was issues with it. There. He had to rebid it.
Okay, because I thought he mentioned two.
Do you know of any other walk-on?
No, I thought he had said two also, but there's only one there, from what he handed us.
We'll probably get another one here shortly.
Yeah, he might bring the other one up this morning.
I try to mark them so we don't limit the walk-on.
He was saying there might be a second one, I'm not sure.
Hey, Letterman, CC you on this, so if he answers. I'm an email asking about it. Okay, Tom said he spoke with Farmers Electric and they won't have it. Until later this week.
Any other items on consent?
That was all.
I do not have anything.
If you guys want to talk about the sleep center concept, the email that got forwarded to you guys on Friday, you want to talk about that now?
I don't think I even seen it. Who's it from?
Barb forwarded it from Alexis.
Oh, right there.
The whole source.
I believe they are a sub-recipient of Moses Lake. We don't contract with them directly. Or do we? I think it's all through Moses Lake.
I saw one in the consent, item 3 was direct with them. Yeah, item 3, CHG grant. I don't know if it's through Moses Lake or if it's direct to them. Barb, is Carrie upstairs?
So they're just putting a pause on this, June 30th till September 30th.
Yes, she is. Would you like her to log on?
Yeah, if she would.
I have in previous batches, we have Hope Source as a vendor in GP. We have just cut checks to Hope Source.
It could be the CBG or CHG. We have some with 18 to 25-year-olds that they run for the state.
Carrie is on, if you guys wanted to.
Carrie, Cindy, you want to ask?
Oh, go ahead.
Carrie, item 3, we have the Hope Source reimbursement for CHG. Does the county contract direct with them for some of these funds?
Yes, they are one of our subrecipients for that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So looking at my crystal ball, my concern with the sleep center situation is you have a city council that is trying to be very against homeless, like, oh, if we don't have a sleep center, homeless disappears from the city. But they also know that the funds come through the federal, state to the county, and then the county disperses. So if Hope Source was to then request the funding that pays for the city to pay Hope Source, they basically are able to remove themselves. And if the county continues to then fund Hope Source to operate the facility, then it's the commissioner's fault versus the city council's fault. That's kind of what I see as the potential issue in all of this. So at some point, we're probably going to have to figure out.
Well, we're gonna have to talk to the city, and they're gonna have to be part of it,
Yeah,
because the problem is within the city of Moses Lake.
Yeah.
They can't just.
but I think what their idea is that we'll pull ourselves out, so then now we don't get all of these complaints to us. That's how I see it, because the funding mechanism is still gonna be there.
Yeah, I agree, but the homeless situation is still gonna be there too, and they're all gonna be in Moses Lake, and which in turn, they're still gonna get those calls.
Yeah. I agree. I think it's just the optics for them more than it is us doing
I think
anything.
Hope Source wants a team helping them, not just Hope Source. I think they've lost their, like you said, lost the support from the city.
I think there needs to be a conversation with the new city manager.
If a community coalition is not formed, Hope Source does not intend to continue operating the sleep center beyond June 30th, 2025. Without community support and collaboration, we believe it will be difficult to maintain the services in the long term.
We probably need to have a meeting with Hope Source. Us.
Yeah, you just do mayor, deputy mayor, and I don't even know who they are right now.
Council though. Have some bearing on this. Part of it.
The whole council?
Yeah.
I don't know how we would do, we'd have to go to them.
That's one thing.
So Justice Schwartz is the mayor and Judy Madewell is the deputy mayor. And both of them and Councilwoman Martinez, their term expires the end of this year.
And I think they all have, well, I think they all, I don't know if all of them, but there's two of them that have people running against them, so.
I think there's 3 of them.
There's three, I just don't know. What position they're running for.
Judy's seat's open, so I'm sure 2 of them.
Well, they just announced it today, and today's 2 candidates announced for Moses Lake City Council.
2 new?
It is, why, I'm looking at Tuesday, April 1st, 2025.
What are their names?
Judy's not gonna
candidates
run it.
Announced for Moses Lake City Council. Santiago, Jim Perez, and Joel Graves have both announced their candidacy for Moses Lake Council.
Yeah, there's 1 more, so there's 4.
4 seats are up for election. Oh, I didn't see Mark Fancher. I can see him on the list.
He's on there this year.
He's on there.
Mark, Dustin, Deanna, and Judy. Filing period is open from May 5th to the 9th.
I don't think Judy's gonna run.
No, she's not. She hasn't announced
Well,
it,
this
I don't
could,
think.
with that many people running, they could
But we just did.
want to continue the sleep center, so we'll see.
Question is, what do we wanna have? Our side.
Yeah, that's basically why I brought up my opinion of the crystal ball. Of the biggest heat that they take in the city is homeless. This gives them a way to pull out of it, put it onto the county, because they keep thinking that it should be at the new jail, it should be in Ephrata, it should be in the middle of nowhere. And yeah, that sounds great, but they're not gonna be there. So,
Well, the services aren't here. That's the big thing. Obviously, you can get on a GTA bus and get wherever you want, but that takes time and there's just not the services over here. So I don't see Fredo being responsible.
Do you guys have a long update?
We do not.
Okay. Did you get my email questions?
Yep, I've got the answers for you.
I was just gonna ask them now if you have a long update. You guys have any other items
I do
for right
not.
now? We'll go into recess until 9 a.m. when we're back for a public works update. Good morning, it's 9 a.m. and we are here for a public works update. We have Barb O'Neill, James Davis, and John Brissy.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello.
So this morning, we'll start with the discussion topic of our accomplishments from last week. Last week at solid waste, a little over 2,600 tons disposed of, 37,500 gallons of leachate on the active face. In the road department, we've got some road grading throughout the county, some rock raking as well. Crack filling has started in all 3 districts, so all 3 of them are out. If you're getting calls, they're out there filling cracks. Also, the accident last week on Adams Road near 6 Northwest, fatality.
What happened there? I didn't read anything.
I think it was right there at White Trail. Again, someone pulled out in front of a semi at White Trail. I believe they were headed westbound,
Okay.
and the truck was headed north and didn't see it, pulled out in front of it, and it was probably pretty quick for him, unfortunately. So, or fortunately, I guess, depending on which way you're looking at it. Also, we've had some ditching in District 1 and also in District 3. Runoff repairs in Area 1 up in the north, well, actually in the southeast area. Street cleaning and sweeping countywide. This just says Royal City, but the other 2 districts are sweeping as well. And also some litter cleanup up on High Hill north there by Soap Lake. The rest is just general stuff for the most part. Anybody have any questions on anything? Okay, so solid waste interview updates. Andy sent me a list here. So we had 2 people interview for the foreman at solid waste. We're doing second interviews tomorrow. The environmental tech, we have a successful candidate that's signing his offer letter later today. And for litter, interviewed 4 good candidates. Hopefully we'll have offer letters out by the end of the week for those positions that were open. Any questions on that? Consent items, Barbara O'Neill's here to speak on consent number 6 for the vacation of portions of Thomas Short Plat.
So this was a joint decision by the Planning Department and Public Works to correct an error that happened. The original short plat, Thomas Short Plat, was done in 2005, which set aside a Lot 3. In that Lot 3 in 2008, a plat was allowed to go through called Ladanye Estates, which went over the top of part of the original road dedication. So there are now lots and houses on the southern portion of that, as well as tying up a good portion of the remainder of Lot 3. And so together, our departments decided it would be a good idea to get rid of that road to allow for a new road to be developed and new lots to continue through there. As part of this, we consulted with our surveyor, licensed surveyor of record. He has nothing to do with the current plat in process, so we made sure there wasn't any conflict of interest. And his recommendation was to go through the road vacation process, send letters to all the residents in the area that would be affected by this change, and then do a public hearing. And so this is the notice for that hearing.
So I assume you're talking about this area that's in red,
Yes, sir.
that's gonna be vacated,
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
that makes sense.
Thank you. That nice little update. It's always good to have an update before,
It actually happens,
I
yes.
should say before, right as we're getting ready for the hearing, we're like, what the heck is going on?
Yeah.
So thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions on
No?
Should be a simple one.
it? Yeah,
We
Should
hope.
be.
should.
Is Exhibit A what it's going to become or what it is?
That is the original Thomas short plat. Exhibit B is the Ladanye short plat. And then Exhibit C shows Ladanye on top of Thomas, and the red is the right-of-way, the original right-of-way to be vacated.
It's currently here.
But how are you gonna access this one?
Coming off of Kenosha.
There's one on the other side.
Yeah, there's no road there.
It doesn't lock that lot two up.
No,
Okay.
no, that is accessed by Kenichi.
Okay, consent item 1, the Bridge 247 project. It appears that the state has approved that. So hopefully we'll get moving forward with that project.
Did you sign them, tell them to send the check before the budget is done?
Which was good because we weren't sure we were gonna get anything with what East Columbia Irrigation District had done, so we were hopeful, but with current budget cuts, you never know.
So we both lucked out.
Yeah,
They did and we did.
we
I
did
think
still
putting
send
that-
them,
I think putting that in motion might have helped some.
Yeah.
Because irrigation district has combined to have pretty good working in Olympia, so.
I don't know if it helped or hurt, but we did send a tort claim for the 20 to 22,000. So that might have changed a few things too, so. Consent item 2 was on that Varela pavement condition survey. So once we get that signed, we'll get them going, and it's a 6-year contract, but it's every 2 years for them. Consent item 3, jurisdictional transfer to the city of Quincy. You have any questions on those transfers? They make sense. We've always kind of questioned why we had, those weren't taken originally, but they'll be
Nice to get
good
them off the books.
both ways. Be good to get it done. And you signed on consent item 4, the certification you signed, Rob. I don't know a lot about consent item 5, amendment 17 extension. Looks pretty straightforward with the paperwork in there.
Oh, for the Mod Associates.
Yes. Any questions on any of these? So on your questions, Rob, why did we change from rolling curbs to full-size curbs with cutouts on West Shore? So it is considered a major collector with washout requirements. Rolling curbs are not allowed, and if we try to change that, they'll put a stop to the project. So we cannot do it per washout requirements.
For the grants and stuff.
Yeah.
It's grant funds.
Well, and Dave said he reached out to the state and asked them if it was a possibility. He did try to work to get those rolled, but he
Yeah.
said no.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was just so in their first meeting that they had, he told them that it would all be rolled, all the landowners.
Right.
yeah.
So then they said, a big group of them left because okay, that was their main concern.
Yeah.
Now it came back and then it's not rolled. And they're just kind of upset by it. They said that whoever the guy marking it is a nice like a nice guy. He's kind of made some modifications for him in some spots.
Yeah.
But they still weren't happy with the curb cut sizes, locations, which we all know a lot of those houses like all garage on the front.
Yeah.
Or on the back, or however you want to look at it.
Yeah, and the way it was, most of their approaches would technically be illegal for the size of them for a residential approach. You know, when you've got your whole frontage, that's not a legal approach. And so, yeah, I wouldn't be happy to necessarily lose my 100-foot of approach down to a 20 or 24-foot, but that's really by our road standards anyway. But that's not what you bought originally. So
Yeah.
we run into that quite often, especially even with agricultural, where I think the largest approach is it 40-foot, Barb?
I think so.
About the largest, and then your radius is, and then we have some farmers that have 200-foot of frontage to the county road, and they use every bit of it, you know, and if we cut them down to 40-foot, then we get the complaints as well, so.
No, not in the ag world. They
No,
just do their own thing.
Take 200 feet of approach.
the speed limit, that is really going to be up to you guys. A resolution from you guys on what speed, you know, with our, you know, input on it, but it likely will be, right now it's 25, maybe it's gonna be 35, I don't know, that's a resolution we'll have to go through.
That was
decide
another
which
thing
one.
that they said was, to do one curve, so David said the reason that they were doing the speed limit at 25 was the rolled curve required 25. So then, I think if it's the full-size curves, then the majority, I've got called by a few and different, not connected, they said, all of them said that they'd prefer to be 35. So,
So
Yeah,
they,
and
oh, sorry.
go ahead, Mark.
They need to write a letter of petition to you guys, and then the county engineer has to review it, and then we have to do a hearing on the entire ordinance.
Mhm.
So that's a heads up for both Barbs that we
So
need.
We talked about making all the speed limits in the UGA
35.
the same.
Yeah.
I think that would take care of the problem countywide, in my opinion. And not just. not
Wait,
just
let me see
one-
what that impacts.
One place or another, I mean, I think that would.
Going up that hill in Madwalk, is it 25 or 35 right now?
I believe it's 30, no, I think
There's
it's
that little
35,
stretch, okay.
but that is not ours.
Oh, that's the.
The
they did
city
make it-
took it down to the church,
Okay.
and then the state has from the church through the roundabout and to the west. I don't remember the footage,
Okay.
and
No,
then
there's that little gap that was.
then
like
I think it goes
2
to Port for a little bit, and then to county again. So that was a number of years ago, wasn't it, where
So
they
we got
took
rid of
that
our
all?
little area, right? Because we had a little piece, roundabout, county.
Yeah,
well, it's like
basically
state,
from the roundabout up to the
county,
top of the hill
city.
was county, so.
Mattawa took to the state though, so we don't have that little piece anymore.
we're
Oh, that was a good, that's a good.
As for the water truck, they will be doing that. We contacted the contractor, and they will be running a water truck during the weekends to keep the dust down.
Out there on West Shore.
Yes. And then as far as the speeding, I think, you know, we've got to, I know the sheriff's department is after us here, but as far, you know, we've got, the public works deputy has been spending a ton of time out there during the work week, but it'd be a matter of them trying to get more patrols out there during the weekend to slow people down, because there's no construction going on, so they're going to, you know, nobody to slow them down, they're going to cruise right on through it. So just take more enforcement on the 3 days that we're not out there.
Do we have speed trailers available?
I talked to Rod Follett this morning, and he does have one. He was checking it this morning, make sure it's all charged up, ready to go. It's a matter of trying to find a location within the work that's not gonna be in the way of the contractor, where it's not having to, be constantly moved.
Right.
It's, to have it on either side of the project typically isn't a big deal, but, it doesn't do a lot of good through the project. But he's gonna go out there and try to find a place and talk with the inspector and try to find a location that's good, but not always having to be moved around where work can happen as well, so. I think that covers.
Yeah, I think that was all what I got. And last week we got the fence complaints, but
It's always gonna be something.
Put your fence in the right of way,
Yeah.
you're just fine.
Yeah, exactly. We try to tell people when we catch them doing it, you need to have your, your property corners and do it right, but
Well,
some of those
unfortunately,
things-
Some of those people have bought them with the fence already there, and they're like, oh,
Absolutely.
that's my property line.
Yeah.
And if you look down the line, I drove out there, it's like, if you look at where the fences are at one end of the street, and then you get to the next road, they're out, 25 feet. It's like, well, how did you guys decide that it's okay to put your fence 25 feet out into the right of way?
The dog needed more running space, Kevin.
Well, I get it, but
Probably would have been fine until the new construction here.
that's usually when it happens.
I think that does it for our update. Any questions?
Well, thank you for joining us today.
thank you for working on those things.
Thanks for
Yeah.
the good news on the bridge.
It's a good public works update.
Thank you.
Yeah. $5 million, that's good.
Yeah,
I like that.
yeah. We were concerned.
Yeah, I thought there was no way.
And I think irrigation district would have been fine with that. I don't think they really want it there, so.
That's probably what happened.
They
We
didn't
want
want to pay
something
for it
really, really,
either.
really bad.
What's
I
that?
said they didn't want to pay for it either.
No, but
Here we are.
yeah, exactly.
I had seen a couple of their board members when I was in Washington DC. They were there working the Senate in his house. And they made a comment about the tort claim. And that there were multiple different agencies involved in trying to figure it out at that time. So might have been the thing that did kind of push it over, so.
Yeah.
Got their attention, at least.
I do think it helped. It probably instigated them to push us to remove on, what was a bridge we replaced last year, 202 in. So we had to put in piers that aren't being used now, but now they've got to be removed. So that may not have happened had we not pushed the issue, but it happens. So it's what we agreed to do.
Anything else for Public Works?
No, thank you.
All right, we will go into recess until 9:30 when we're back to the sheriff's office.
I don't even know why I
I don't
opened
know
that.
if you
Got
can-
nothing on it.
Good morning, it's 9:31 a.m. and we're here for the sheriff's office update with Joe Crete and Gary Mansford.
So I just wanted to bring Gary over today and let you know that today is officially his start as the undersheriff. Ricardo Char, I would have had him here as well as, he's the chief now of field operations. His family is over there at the office right now though, so I didn't want to pull him away from his family because we're doing the swearing in at 10. So that was really, quite frankly, about all I had today, just to introduce the new team to you, and you'll see them coming in and out of the meetings. One other thing, I did look at the consent items. I think the only thing we really had on there was, we got the travel, out-of-state travel one, and then there was,
The soap lake.
yeah, the Soaply contract that we're providing services for them, during their shortage of personnel. So, yeah, that's what that's on there for. I can't imagine there's any questions on that review. Legal's already reviewed it. Rebecca already saw it, so.
No, if they can sort out their stuff.
Yeah, and they're motivated to get some people hired over there, and I had a pretty good meeting with the mayor yesterday, and it was a very, very productive, very, very good meeting. So he's very thankful that we're able to step up and help him out in his time of needing coverage for sure. So the community is very, very appreciative. So
Okay, cool question we had yesterday.
Okay.
When, let's just say you need to go pick up, I want to call it a fugitive, but let's just say North Dakota? How do you go retrieve that individual?
Through extradition. So there is a process. We have done, we sent our staff over to do extraditions. They have to go through a process with their state as well. They have to have it, sometimes they have hearings with governors, get governor's warrants to make sure people get extradited and things like that. But we've done it with our personnel, and we've also contracted with, I think it's called Geo Transport, if I remember right. Basically, it's a private contracting company that will do some transports. There are some inmates that they will not transport under security reasons or things like that. But we do quite a few of them ourselves because a lot of them are because of active cases that we have.
So you do airplane?
We've done both. We've done cars and flight. We've done both. I myself have done flight and car years ago, so I've done both.
And they're in cuffs when they get on the plane?
No, they not on the airplane. No, I don't believe. Well, they didn't used to. I don't know if they still do. I don't think they allow them to wear handcuffs on the plane. I don't know if they still do or not, but
I think it just depends.
Okay, so you just,
we have there's leg things that I used years ago. There's a tool called a leg brace.
okay,
And it doesn't allow them to straighten their legs. Like if they were to run, they lock, and so they'll be.
it could be a little anxiety.
Not gonna go very far.
Not going
Yeah.
to go very far and very fast at all. So, but that was years and years ago. I don't know what the FFA or FAA does now for the requirements as far as
And do
extradition
you load
goes.
sooner before everybody else or after, or?
Usually you load before in the back of the plane
uh
and you get off last. Yeah. Mhm.
So we just had some questions.
There's a very large, it's a big process to get to be able to do this.
Yeah.
We went through this process about 2 years ago. Unfortunately, it was for nothing. It was a prisoner that needed to be transported back here for a trial as a witness from Texas. And we went through all the stuff to get our detectives to be able to go back there. And then in the end, the prosecutor's office didn't need him. So, but it's a pretty big process. We would probably use something similar to what you see inside the courtrooms right now, that stun cuff. We would probably take a stun cuff.
Oh, where they just have like a cuff and,
It's on their leg, I believe.
Yeah.
okay.
They wear it around their leg. It looks like a electronic home monitoring device, an ankle bracelet type of thing. That's what it looks like.
That way,
So
should
you
there,
can't see that they're,
that way, should there be an emergency on the aircraft, they are not completely helpless. Yeah. Any other
answered my
questions?
questions.
That's
I'm
it?
Curious, okay.
You probably transport the one that's in California then, or the city of Moses Lake will have to do that, won't they?
It depends. If it's their case, I know in the past, sometimes they've had to pay the expense of it to get it done and they'll do it. I think it also kind of depends on where it's at in the process as far as the court proceedings go. Kevin probably knows those answers a lot better than I do as far as, when the bill gets paid by who. I just don't know that answer. I don't. We would most likely probably drive to go get anybody on the western states area. I mean, one time we're probably going to fly as if it's across the country to go grab somebody, but anywhere on the West Coast, we'll most likely just drive, just because it's so much less of a headache. Yeah.
Okay,
So
we better get back over there.
yeah, that's
Thank
it.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, congratulations.
Joe, will you look at the patrol of West Shore on nights, weekends?
The patrol of West
Yeah,
Shore
speeding in that work
in the
zone
gravel
there.
area. Yeah, I know Stormy's been over
Friday,
during the
Saturday.
daytime quite a bit,
Yeah,
but we'll let our patrol guys know in the nights and weekends to take a look at that as well.
thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
We'll go into recess until 10 a.m. We're back for facilities and maintenance. Good morning, it's 10 a.m. and we are here for a facilities and maintenance update.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm going to start it off and then I'll let Kevin talk about a few things. But I did receive a questionnaire from Human Resources regarding the perk hearing coming up for the position at the jail. I got to be honest, it's this entire ordeal so far leaves me feeling like there is no authority in the county and that we're slaves to these unions. I'm frankly pretty fed up with it. I don't know how much more I want to deal with it, but that they get to decide operational doctrine for the county just blows me away. But I'm going to get through that as best I can and not be frothing at the mouth as I do it. So I did let Joe Kunkel know the meeting with Samaritan is canceled. I'll ask the clerks to provide dates that the three of you will be available to meet with the hospital. I think it's important that we all meet with them and discuss a number of things. But one of the things I want to ask Craig to do, I'm going to ask Craig to start working on an interlocal agreement with other morgues and other counties so that we can keep them up and running. I think we're going to have something in place since the hospital doesn't know what they're going to do with that building. I think they might have a fire, but they're being very coy about it. And if we can't use that hospital, I mean, they can still do all their death investigations, but we're going to have some place for the bodies to go. So hopefully we can get an interlocal set up with KITSAP or something else until, you know.
So are the freezers, are they built in? Can you move the freezers?
I don't think so. I think that I have no idea what it looks like at the hospital, but if they sell that hospital, if we don't have an ability to operate out of there, he's going to have some kind of a backup plan. So I just think it's important for him to talk to other morgues and get a backup plan.
Yeah, well, Adams County is probably a pretty close county, but I don't know if they have that in their hospital.
I don't know. So that's why I was going to have Craig look into that. And then this morning we did receive a resignation letter for Brian Murray. I don't know where he's going, but I think we'll talk about that a little bit more. And what have you got?
So yeah, that's the big thing that hit us this morning. So we'll be looking for a site supervisor for the public works facilities. There's a lot that I think we need to think about in there as we go forward with this position, because we were talking about field systems and how that works with the funding and where it comes from. Landfills, another consideration in there with all the different funds that they have to pay out of and how that all bills out. So, and what I mean by that, let's say the person's working at the landfill, they have to fill out a time slip for it. If they're working on the fuel systems, they fill out a time slip for that, and it's all paid out of those certain funds. One of the things that, and I haven't been able to get a hold of Andy yet this morning from Public Works, but it'd be a conversation that we pulled the fuel systems out of the facilities maintenance side of things, pull the fuel systems and the landfill out of the job description for that site supervisor. That would become a separate position to manage fuel systems, which is funded through ER&R. And then there should be enough work between the fuel systems and landfill just to keep a person busy on those two things. That way the individuals, the site supervisor that we would have and Eli, the maintenance 3 up there, would focus in on all the other equipment. So the electrical, taking care of the infrastructure on the building. So like the fans that have been a project for 2 or 3 years, they would have time to dive back into those things. Lighting is always a thing that we hear about and getting fixed up. So having that time to spend on it. With the fuel system currently, I know Brian is neck deep in helping with the software. So if people are as new employees get put in, calibrations, there's all kinds of settings. I don't know, haven't been into software that deep myself, but there's settings in there that can goof it up, and he'll spend half a day trying to figure out what happened, what number got changed in the software that throws off the how much fuel was consumed or pumped out. So there's EPA considerations in there where they do testing on the tanks. So it's a big animal what happens on these fuel systems, just besides what you do on the pump heads and stuff like that. I know we were talking about getting a service representative in here to talk about upgrading these fuel systems, switching them over from the non-computer heads, which are the mechanical, they look like a Swiss watch inside there, over to an electronic style. So the electronic style sounds like if there's an issue, it's easier to resolve. It's not as much maintenance, but it could be longer downtime. So there's some things to think about there as well. So
and in Andy's email, it's kind of a problem coming home to roost is he stated to HR, I'd like to keep Andy on as a temporary employee so he can teach other people about fuel, which we've been trying to get done and have not had, you can tell me if this is a fair statement, have not had a lot of support from Public Works and getting that stuff done. There's
Right.
always a reason.
Yeah, for the last 3 years.
Yeah, so, so now it's like, well, if your desire is to keep it close to the chest as you have, then you know what, we'll do whatever you gotta do with your fuel guy and put that under ER&R, and you take that animal on and you meet the requirements of the commissioners, which was fix that fuel system, and we'll maintain the
There are a
facilities.
lot of issues with the fuel.
Well, you know, and
I don't know, I feel like we
we've been
need
trying to
to
help, so.
move to,
Anyway, so I think it would be a good idea to separate the fuel and landfill. That was part of Sam Castro's plan when he did his reorganization. It's been reorganized that way, and I think Andy had the same view. But we'll continue to maintain. I think we've got some ideas on how to immediately affect that for the better, not fuel, but just facilities in general. That would be a personnel discussion in executive session, and we're going to talk to HR too. So, but we think we've got some good ideas.
Yep.
On
What would that look
on how to
like?
move forward.
well, let's take 5 minutes to go into executive session.
Okay.
Do we have 5 minutes? I don't want
Yeah.
to mess up.
Personnel evaluation or?
Recommendation. Yeah.
All right, we'll be going into executive session at 10:07, coming out at 10:12 for job applicant / evaluation RCW 42.30.1101G.
So those are our
We
thoughts.
Out of executive session, no decisions were made.
Yeah, and we'll follow up with more conversation on that, but those are our immediate thoughts and other things that need to be done. So, what else you got?
So besides those issues,
Besides those issues, absolutely.
it's just the regular work. So we're getting ready for summer. We're working on chillers, getting those operational. Talking about what our maintenance floors are doing. They are putting in soft starts, so changing over actually kind of an energy thing. And I don't know if you've ever been in this parking lot right back here.
Soft starts, remind me what soft starts are.
So when a motor turns on, it starts up nice and easy. If you were out in the parking lot when those fans started in the past, you'd hear that burr, the belt squeal and that torque. So it's going to be a nice, easy start. And that's kind of an energy savings there because you don't hit that spike in the energy, which they build, power, which they bill you for. So
Well, like I get up in
That's
the
life
morning.
expectancy to.
I like that, Kevin, a soft start. I've got a soft start in the morning. It takes me a while to get.
well, we'll set your potentiometers up and get you going faster with more torque.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a lot of that work's going on. We're helping out the fairgrounds. The courthouse is helping out the fairgrounds with the VFD that went out on one of the primary pumps, the jockey pump for down there. So we've got a retrofit.
Irrigation pumps?
Yeah.
It's
a
the
VFD.
jockey pump for the potable supply for the entire fairgrounds.
Okay.
Got a variable drive that went out or something.
Yeah, it did. So we were able to find one through sources I've used in the past, and we've got one for about $400 versus the direct replacement Allen Bradley, which is about $3,500. So
You ever been in that pump vault out in Southfield?
I have not.
Pretty impressive.
Field trip.
well, let us get our Davitt point in there
Yeah.
first, so we can hoist you out if something happens. So then some furniture for community development building for their new conference room we're working on, and a museum. We finally got the sump pump dug in there. They had like a little tote that they were setting the pump in. We actually took a barrel, planted it, put gravel around it so it can get the water out and keep that from flooding. Museum sign, we're waiting for locations of where the sign can actually go. So there's, and I got to call Mr. Dormeyer and get if he can give us a location of the property line. So that dictates how far we can set that sign off the road.
Right.
And grounds is just ramping up for spring, so sterilizing, weed and feed, mowing, all that fun stuff.
What do you use for sterile?
What is the name of it? It's out in the shed.
I don't remember that.
Bronco? Something like that. But we get it from Wilbur Ellis is where we get it from.
And it's expensive.
What's that?
And it's expensive.
It is.
We're getting it on a state contract at least, so we do get some discount. But but it is expensive.
I think all of them told us it's expensive.
all that
I
stuff.
know, I tried a new one last year, it worked pretty darn good.
But it, so compared to just from personal experience, getting that stuff and get it that down versus using Roundup out of Lowe's or Home Depot, it's cheaper.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
more
yeah, at the end of the day, it's-
Well, and you have to have to get it from them, you have to have a pesticide license or application.
Yeah. So
Everybody has one.
Steve Manel is coming up to work with Umberto. They both went through the class, but Steve has been spraying at the fairgrounds already for a couple of weeks to get them
Just about
prepared.
done.
Yeah, so he will be up here tomorrow actually to help Umberto because they went to the applicator license class here just about a month ago.
Good deal.
All right.
Thank you.
That's about it.
Well, I mean,
Turn
I
it
have
over to
nothing
these
going
guys.
on, like Tom.
What's that?
You and Tom just have nothing going on.
Nothing ever. Somebody will find
Alright.
us and get it going.
It's 10:16 a.m. and we will go into our tech services update.
Keith will
All right.
probably find something else
Well,
for
Well,
you.
they're,
Kevin, no, the facilities all look great, so thank you for keeping
Yep.
them.
Oh, you're more than welcome,
looking and
so
looking well.
thank you.
While they're getting settled, I'll mention, hopefully the cybersecurity brief yesterday afternoon was informative. I apologize for the format. I should have thought about how it would look and present on those screens. So I had a handout that I failed to give to you. It's from Verizon's Data Breach Investigation Report in 2024. It's really short. I printed out the section just specific to public administration, and I'll leave it with you. It's an interesting read. Just so you know, Verizon grabbed 30,000 random cyber incident reports from across the country and then did a deep dive. 12,000, a little over 12,000 were public administration reports. And again, I apologize for speeding through it, and this is really short. It's just a couple of pages. Some
Are you trying to
paragraphs.
ruin my sleep at night, so I know that we're under.
But it's interesting. It's interesting reading when you think about public administration and how it's targeted. So, you know, you guys, whenever you get a chance to look at it, if you have questions, we can talk about it anytime. But it just kind of shines a light
I
on.
think it was Lincoln County that was attacked, and they literally could not, I think it was Lincoln, it was somebody on our CRG insurance pool, could not get access to their system. It was
Yeah.
awful.
Yeah, it shines a light on local government, you know, and again, I think we do better than most. And there's a lot of people out there that get in a lot of trouble. So anyway, that's all I got. Joe, what do you got?
Nice.
All right, so kind of an update here for the Fairgrounds camera project. Ricky has installed 43 of the 50 purchased cameras so far. We've got
Are
12,
they all at the fairgrounds, 43?
43 of the 50 that were purchased, yes.
Yeah, we walked through with Joe, or we had Ricky and I think Joe walked through with Jim, and Jim kind of dictated. He's like, we need it here, here, here. So we just,
We got everything covered.
Well, we're trying, and we've modified that original ask multiple times.
Yeah.
So we've got 12 additional VoIP loudspeakers installed as well. Ricky's taken a 2-week break from the fairgrounds to allow Chris to get ahead of him on electrical installations. Ricky and I have had multiple network design meetings in recent weeks. We continue to optimize the overall network structure at the fairgrounds. Part of that was for the cameras. So the camera coverage we have with the cameras that we're choosing is better than I think what was originally anticipated. So Ricky says, you think you want a camera here, right? And they're like, yeah. And then he goes, okay. So he shows cameras that already show that area. They're like, all right, never mind.
Yeah.
So we're cutting that total count down.
And Chris did tell me yesterday he's looking to buy, I think he said 7 more speakers for areas.
Okay.
So.
Yep. So that's kind of what's going on out there. Server room PDU upgrade on May 3rd. GTS staff will be taking a data center offline to install new PDUs. These are power distribution units in the racks themselves. These PDUs display power usage and convert most network devices in the server racks from 110 volt to 208 volt. This puts less load on the step-down transformers and runs the devices more efficiently. I'll be sending out notifications the week before the scheduled maintenance to notify users of the outage that Saturday. Jabber, we've had a conference call with Ednetics concerning Jabber this last week. There were several issues that we were having, some self-induced and others on Ednetics' end. Self-induced issues revolved around an increase in security posture after the installation of the new UXG Enterprise Gateway Firewall. I had adjusted the intrusion protection more aggressively than Jabber liked. I entered an exclusion for the Cisco call manager server IP address to allow Jabber to flow traffic again, so that started working. We also learned from Ednetics that Cisco is trying to sunset Jabber as an application and to replace it with WebEx. WebEx is being developed to act as the Cisco call manager interface application to Cisco phones. So there is no cost for the Cisco WebEx application to be installed on a computer and to replace Jabber. The features we do not get from WebEx would be like hosting. So you have to pay for licensing to be able to host in WebEx. So we're not going to do that, but we will probably start rolling WebEx out to function as the Jabber client.
We'll have to make sure that we market that correctly, because everybody's going to think.
I know, and that's why I'm trying to make that delineation right now.
Do most people in the county use Jabber? I don't think we've ever.
So it gets installed on everything, and it's also the client that we use for our soft phones. So you could like take your laptop and make a call from your extension via your phone. If you have that feature enabled, like TS, we have it because we travel all the time, or we work remotely.
Used to, everybody used it for what, 15 years?
Yeah.
It's the companion app for our desk phones.
Yeah.
Well, and I got a new issue with mine with that, but I think it's a setting in there somewhere. I can't find. I'll tell you about that.
Yeah, they're Cisco's trying to replace Jabber with WebEx. It has all the functionality, but again, we're going to have to make it clear to people. It's like you can't do WebEx meetings. You can join them
You're not.
Right, but you're not licensed to start them. So, I got an email from Barb Durbeck this morning. I was not aware that the 1,700 records retention policy had been signed and was in effect. So this week I'm going to start working with John and Keith to begin implementation of the new policy and start trimming down the size of our records. I was not aware that this had become a policy. The last thing I remember hearing, it was just being discussed. So,
same here. Surprised to me too.
And this will shrink our email by orders of magnitude.
Yeah.
We're going to go from forever down to 10 years like that.
Yeah,
so
massive.
We're going to give notifications weekly for about a month leading up to the deletion of records in order to give people time to scramble and save whatever they think they need to save.
And I think a couple of email reminders to everybody that, because we do have people that live in Barracuda and they never save documents, they never save attachments because they can always just go back and search it. It's in Barracuda, it's there forever. No, you're going to need to go and find those and save them, where you can access them again, because once they hit the delete key, then
that's 10 years. That's 2015.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We go back to 2003.
I'm in the middle of a public records request for the Yardell
That'll
sprinkler
be a
system
nice
in 2019 right now. Somebody's asking for all these documents, so.
We're hoping that the performance of the Barracuda searches will improve greatly as a result of this.
Well, it'll probably help our public records office in a sense.
Well, and there's some historic stuff. Sometimes we end up searching for something that's like, man, when was that? I don't know. Search Barracuda. Oh yeah, it was more than 15 years ago.
It's been super handy, but it's about to become a lot less available. Right. And then my last little point here, reporting. So Keith and John are going to start working on generating weekly reports for Spiceworks and email statistics. We want to refine these so that they're easy to understand and quick to review, and more to come on that next week. And I'm going to kick it over to Keith because he did get a little bit of stuff put together.
Well, basically for the last week, we had as of an hour ago, we had 100 new help desk tickets that have come in. Out of those, 54 of those were closed, so we're sitting at 54% for the last week, which respectable. We've had a lot of staff out of the office due to illness and other reasons. So the guys who have been working, they've been working very diligently. So currently, as of an hour ago, we had 46 tickets remaining. Another thing that we're working on is we have been in dire need of a asset tracking system for software license assets. And through NACO, discovered a platform that looks like it's going to work for us very well. It's called Snipe IT. And it's an interesting name, but It's a self-hosted and free open source software. So it doesn't cost us anything except for our time to get it set up. So that's a huge bonus. And it also does physical asset tracking very well too. And so we're going to be we're evaluating it right now. Most likely I'm going to be moving into it for my software tracking, but we're looking at it and evaluating it as maybe a solution for our physical IT asset tracking as well.
Think it could eventually take over like quartermaster or something?
Yeah,
Exactly the point,
we
yes.
will move out of quartermaster. The
Yeah.
sheriff's office, they still use it because it's very law enforcement centric.
Yeah.
And we just clobbered it
Maybe
and
that's a
made it,
great solution.
yeah, we made it work for us.
Yeah.
But it was cumbersome.
And in that, when we move out of quartermaster, that'll save the county about $10,000 a year. So total bill for that's just over 20, and so we split it with the sheriff's office. They pay, well, theirs was half, ours was half. So
Another example of always looking for that return on investment.
Yep.
So,
Right.
that's good.
you guys have any questions for us?
No, we just appreciate what you guys do.
Yeah, keep us running.
Sweet.
Yeah, and again, peruse that data breach investigation report. See something interesting in there or anything you want to comment on or ask about, It's kind of funny if you read that
Yeah,
whole
it's
thing.
kind of funny. I see this, Tom. Actions speak louder than campaign promises. Thanks for sharing this with us. I wanted to really delve in and I'm trying to stay focused.
It was not meant to be any kind of a pointed thing like that, but what's funny is the report itself, the actual report is 200 and some odd pages. But there's a lot of just kind of free writing in there where it's like, boy, those were pretty pointed remarks coming. I think it was a 20-year-old that wrote that for Verizon, but yeah, it's an interesting report. If you dive into some of it, you just kind of notice the way it's written.
Misdelivery is a problem too.
Yeah, even by faxes, people misdelivering faxes, and then other people get that information.
So just astonished that people still use fax.
So is Verizon.
There's a reason for it. It was written into federal law. It was named as the technology that would be the de facto form of transmission of information.
Yeah.
And it has not been written out of law. It has not been updated because,
Well,
Congress.
when faxes came out, it was great. So you didn't have to run something to Rosella or Moses Lake. You could just fax it.
Yeah.
It was.
That's when I was in diapers. I believe that was in the 70s. And so things have
But
changed.
then email really took off. But before it was a fax.
Yeah.
And you would go to hunt down whoever had a fax in Royal City to send the fax out because you didn't want to drive to town.
Yeah.
So fun fact about the Snipe It though, after I got my Tech Exchange email stuff sorted out,
Yeah.
the very first email that I received, it was somebody looking for something similar, and that was the suggestion.
Oh, okay.
So
So
very
that
first
was
email.
another payoff of the NACO thing.
Yeah, yeah. That Tech
Exactly.
Exchange is awesome, and that's what So in the Tech Exchange, when we go to Philadelphia, there's a lot of information that surrounds that Tech Exchange. Just
Great,
the power users of it, you'll meet every one of them. So
outstanding. Looking forward to it.
Tom, I appreciate this 3-4 pages because
it's
that's,
short, sweet, and just kind of
I know.
it's informative.
Have you guys done the training,
HPL,
the professional leadership training?
they've
Yes.
done the cyber side of
Academy?
it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Are you gonna do the professional?
We talked about it.
We talked about, we're trying to figure out how much overlap there. I was thinking about doing the cyber side of it and having these
Okay.
guys do it, but I think we're trying to get everybody through it first.
Yeah.
And then, also on the HPL, once you're a graduate of HPL, there's shorter courses that you can take. You have to have been a graduate of that, but they're shorter. There's an 8-week course, a 6-week course.
It's almost like we need a little tune-up, or if we keep sending people through, I think as they're going through, they like to share just a minute, what I learned today.
Yeah.
When
April 11th, the email goes out to those folks starting in April, so.
when we did ours last year, Tom was doing his at the same time. So we were talking about it and it's like, oh, you guys are doing this week? We're doing almost the identical same thing. So
Okay, so
there's a
fairly-
ton of overlap. And that's why we haven't decided yet, I think, if it's worth the jump
Well,
into it.
And as much as we love the 12-week course,
That's,
we're busy enough. It's like, do we want to jump into another 12 weeks right now?
No,
8
you
weeks
gotta
sounds a lot more palatable.
yeah,
Yeah.
we got plenty going on. So, perfect. Well, that's all we have, so.
Thank you.
All right, we'll go into recess until 10:45. We're back for work session.
Good afternoon, it's 10:45. We are here for the BOCC work session.
Well, that's awesome timing.
Yep, just right.
I
You
just
walked
walked in. I just got off the phone with the architect. He is flying to Spokane tonight. He should already be here. His plane that today was canceled because of fog. So he's got a different flight. We have a 10 a.m. owners meeting for the jail tomorrow, but outside of that 10 to 11 meeting, pretty much free, and we can find if we can get some time to go check out that building. Maybe be available.
After lunch.
Yeah, or maybe we can go out there, grab some lunch or something. I don't know, so, and then look at the building. So.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Let me see if I can get that figured out.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, he'll be on the job at 8 o'clock in the morning, and then he's prepping for the owners meeting at 10. So we can go through everything there, and then after that, pretty much free. So.
Okay.
Put in a request.
Anything I can help with during the work session? Yes.
Yeah, well, we'll start with our last item, the morgue. How's the property coming along?
That's
You
all.
got it, okay.
That's what we're
You're
talking
working on
about.
that.
Yeah, we're
Okay.
still working on it.
Yeah.
We did get a counter offer back on the property.
Okay.
Yeah.
Written an offer on, but I just think it's a little, I think it's just too high for what we need to do to make it work.
So we're talking about looking at another building for sale in Moses Lake that's right off I-90.
The old Killian's building. It's
Oh,
on a little over an
yeah.
acre. Right off the highway, it's not too far from the hospital, it's just down the highway.
Well, do we know what the city, if there's a latecomers agreement, what the city would actually require us to do on that? Because there was, on the other piece that we were talking about.
The other piece we were talking about,
Is
it
that a
was
road?
just the improvements. We'd have to have a meeting with them to find out exactly what it
Oh, it
was.
may not be too awful, but.
Yeah. Well, and here they sent Commissioner Burgess an email saying that we might want to meet with the city to see what it'd take to bring this building up to code, this other building, but we could cite it for.
Oh, you wouldn't have to tear it down then?
That's
Well,
what we want to go look at.
yeah, and it just so happens our architect's going to be in town tomorrow, so. You could go
So
with
we
us.
could do the other property for less money.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. What's going on with work release? We got a bid, it was lower than what we anticipated. I
my
just
gosh.
think it's one of those, it could be worth more if there was a need for that building. The only need I can think is if we do the regional diversion program, but they've looked at it.
City wants to buy it. I think what we have to do is, the city has said that, or at least Ray Towery, he'd like to have another meeting with the commissioners, and get it set up. Do another session, kind of like we did before. There's about 8 or 9 different moving parts, and we need one of them, to engage for all the rest of them to work,
Yeah.
right? So everybody's kind of relying on somebody else to do something, so. But he had mentioned that, even the mayor had said it would be great to get together with the commissioners again, talk about that.
We should, and then just tell them that they need to come to us with a formal offer.
Yeah.
What are you willing to pay us for?
Yep.
And then we'll decide whether that's acceptable.
Yeah.
We have two
Way to
different.
go, Kevin. I feel like you're just used to negotiating.
Well, we have
We're
two
like,
completely
put
different
Tilly down,
appraisals,
let's
which makes
just
it
go.
even that much more difficult.
Yeah.
If we know what they're willing to pay, we've got a ready, willing, and able buyer. I think even if we had an appraisal done with a ready, willing, and able buyer, an appraiser's gonna figure it out.
Yeah.
So we just need to know where they're at.
I think that's the ADA access at the county museum. I thought we put something in the budget.
No, we just need a path. We just need a paved path to the boardwalk, right? I'll follow up with Kevin and see if he's doing anything with that. So, yeah, because that was just all that gravel out there is really deep and soft.
Could we change that gravel to something a
little more compact?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just thinking of small and attractive items. I just have to share a little story. We were in Korea, Gupo City, and the daycare, the kids are running around. They go there when they're young, so it's probably 3, 4, 5-year-olds who are running around. Literally, it's so trusting over there, you know, they're not watching like a hawk. So I said, some of these kids are the cutest little kids. It's a wonder they don't get stolen. I'm like, I know, just want to steal one and take them back home. But yeah, they were the most adorable. So when I'm thinking of the
Yeah.
small and attractive little kid, they were super cute.
So when I was stationed in Iceland, I was in the capital city of Reykjavik, and you would walk around if it was a sunny day and it was like above 50 and no wind. You'd see a baby stroller with a baby outside of a store, and the parents would go in and they'd let that baby sit out in the sunshine.
I know.
And they weren't worried about anybody taking that kid.
Gone are the days. Yeah.
Yeah.
For 30 years ago, they would have been fine in Grant County too, but not so much anymore.
Anything else?
So Rob, just to update you on, it sounds like Kevin and Tom are gonna meet with the new property for the morgue, maybe some additional property for the morgue. Set the city for work release, with the city be free to have them at least put in a bid for, you know, what they wanna pay for the jail, and ADA access to the museum. Look at, Tom was gonna reach out, look at maybe doing a path to get to the board model.
I know we
Did I
talked.
miss something there?
I know we talked about that with Kevin.
When I saw Ray,
And the smaller attractive
he
things.
said to just give him a number,
Well, but
let
we
him
did.
decide.
We want them to
We
give
did
us a
that,
number.
and they scoffed at us in the meeting when we did that.
Yeah, what was your number?
It was like 5 million.
Yeah, well,
But it came back a little bit
came
lower.
back a little low,
I know.
so.
That's why I say they should just give us a number.
Yeah, when I saw Ray, I don't know what night I saw him, Friday,
Yeah.
he said, we understand that that's low. Why don't you guys just tell us where you would need to be?
And what I'd relayed to these two just before you came in
It
was.
just sucks because to rebuild that, you'd probably be 15 million bucks.
Yeah, well, and I'm not even worried about the rebuild of that. The rebuilding of the 2 storage buildings.
Oh, I know, but
So,
that's one thing that's crazy about the appraisal. It's almost like they didn't even take the work release into the appraisal, you know?
Well, the problem that I think that resulted from that appraisal was that they're looking at it as a private individual, whereas as a county, we have to pay prevailing wage. So it costs us 3 times the money.
$1 million bucks just the concrete.
No, we're not that.
not that far off.
Not that.
Yeah.
Great family dentistry.
So, waiting on the.
Sorry, Tom, you're pretty much,
No, that's okay.
you're pretty much our pending decision by the BOCC, everything we're
Well, you
working
can
on.
take that off. You know, that's all been worked on and decided. I mean, I'm waiting on the approved building permit from Bill Cox. As far as I know, he's got everything he needs. Cascade Construction is planning on starting next week. We're doing submittal information. We just approved electrical. We do need to change the transformer outside the PUD that Kevin, as a matter of fact, call Kevin got was from the PUD. The transformer's old at 240. We need 208 volts going to the building. So
280,
208. And so we have to make that change. But so it's moving forward. So yeah, it's on its way. And I made comments on the contract. Decorah had sent me a copy of the contract for the consultant for the compensation review. And I'd made comments on that, sent it back. She got that. She was looking at that. So I know she's in process on it. What's next? What else?
the coordinated 5-entry plan, but I don't think we're supposed to talk about that because it's. I don't know.
For the 5-year plan, we had a homeless task force meeting last week, and we selected, I believe, 2 or 3 different consulting firms to do the 5-year plan. I mean, we still have to do the plan for New Hope and Housing Authority, even if we don't.
I thought we
continue.
selected somebody. Did they not finish it?
We haven't selected anybody.
Oh.
This was literally Thursday.
They were all scored.
And we scored 8 applicants.
thought you had somebody on.
We did, and it wasn't gonna work.
Okay.
So we had, the lady,
Yes,
and
that's
she wanted
right.
to retire because of the new rules and RCWs.
Thanks for, I'm like, how do I have this thing here? Yep.
So then we met with a consultant, but she gave us her price that she worked in Chelan County, and it was to the point where we had to do RFP. So we did the RFP, we got like 8 applicants. I think we narrowed it down to 3, requesting 2 budgets from the top 2 selections. Budget range requested was 25 to 35,000. We did receive a $125,000 one, so that was tossed out. And then we received 3 or 4 without any budgets, and then 2 for 35,000. So the 2 top didn't have a budget, so that was being requested by Caitlin probably yesterday, maybe last week at the end.
I sent it out last Friday. They should be getting them back to me this week sometime.
Okay. So that's where that's at. We should have a selection maybe beginning of next week. As long as I believe it was LDC, comes in under the budget amount, then that will be the selection by that group that scored. Then it'll be recommended to the board, and then that'll start up. Barb's a good contract writer. And then destination marketing last week, we had.
Do we have that on the thing?
No, but
Okay, thank you. I'm like,
I'm working on it. It was like 3 days, so those meetings went better than I expected. The consultant kind of gave a short window to get a lot of people together, but it went decent. Overall, it was good. You know, the people that you need to be there and be the loudest, like our own fairgrounds, wasn't there, but the groups that you wouldn't expect to be loud were there. So we'll have some individual meetings with some of the larger campgrounds, because the only campground that was on other than city or government was Goldie. So we'll do some individual meetings in the future and then continue on that. That should be probably winter when it completes, maybe November. And you guys will be interviewed also eventually. Did I do anything else last week? It was pretty busy. I forgot about those. Caitlin, did we do anything else?
No, sir, that was it.
Thing, and then all those marketing meetings. Yeah, the destination marketing thing, it's gonna be good, but man, I thought we were paying them to do everything they expect our staff to do, so. Odd, but once we get all the emails, it'll be good. Because they don't return phone calls. Cities and stuff. Anything else?
Don't have anything else, so make copies of this. Listen to you guys.
All right, we'll take a 30-second recess. Okay, good morning. It is 11:01 a.m. and we are here for a bid opening to award the county paper of record. Our clerk of the board, Barbara Vasquez, will open.
You need to state or all bids in 3 times.
Oh, I do?
Yes.
Okay. Well, are all bids in? Are all bids in? Are all bids in? They're all in.
We've only received 1 bid for this, and it is from the Columbia Basin Publishing.
Columbia Basin Herald has put in a bid for legal advertising for Grant County beginning July 1st, 2025, ending June 30th, 2026 for $5.60 per column inch. This represents $6.23 per column inch discount from the legal notice rate of $11.83 per column inch. They will also include affidavit for each legal notice published at no additional charge. This saves $10 per affidavit.
Just for reference, it was $5.50 last year, so they went up 10 cents.
Do we take action on this? Do we turn this over for review and recommendation?
We've been doing it right after the bid opening.
Mr. Chair, is this an open record?
It's just a bid opening.
Okay. Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the bid, the only bid that was submitted, and award that to Columbia Basin Herald.
I would second that motion.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed say nay. Motion passes to approve Columbia Basin Herald as the paper of record at $5.60 per column inch.
Perfect. I'll be working on the contract to get to Rebecca for review, and then you'll have that on your agenda as soon as she does it.
Initial this, corner this.
You don't have to.
Does this conclude this meeting?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we will go into recess until 11:15 a.m. when we are back for Development Services Ordinance Adoption for a moratorium regarding utility development and uses. It is 11:15 a.m. We're here with Development Services Director Jim Anderson Cook for an ordinance adoption for a moratorium. Good morning.
Thank you, Chairman Jones, Commissioners. Grant County Development Services is requesting that the Grant County Board of Commissioners enact a temporary moratorium on new wind energy projects to allow time to review zoning regulations. While wind power offers clean energy benefits, it also raises concerns about environmental impacts, property values, visual impacts, and long-term site maintenance. Currently, county regulations do not have specific standards for wind energy projects, and without proper insight, unregulated development could conflict with the county's comprehensive plan. This moratorium pauses the acceptance and approval of new utility-scale wind projects for 6 months while regulations are evaluated. However, it does not affect existing permitted projects, electrical substations, electrical transmission lines, or small residential wind systems. A public hearing will be held within 60 days to gather input. This action ensures responsible development while protecting the health, safety, and welfare of our community. This moratorium will take effect immediately. Thank you for your consideration and anticipated adoption of this temporary moratorium.
And Jim, I just want to thank you for coming back an additional week and bringing this back to us so that there was more, I guess, clarification and notice to the public. So thank you.
You're welcome. It was the right thing.
Arduous task, but I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I'm sure that.
Thank you, Commissioners. Yeah, it was the right call.
Okay, I have no questions inside. Do we go ahead and sign it right now? If it hasn't already been signed.
We need a motion on this one.
Mr.
We need
Chair,
a
I move
public
that
comment on this one
We need a public comment?
for, no,
No,
I don't think so, but I don't know.
no.
Okay,
Mr. Chair, I move that we sign the ordinance of adoption for a moratorium regarding the utility development and uses.
I'll second that motion.
motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed say nay. Motion passes as stated by Commissioner Carter. We have any additional for this meeting?
Do not.
All right, we will go into recess until 1 p.m. when we are back for a HR update, noting that Cora Anderson Cook is not in today, but staff will be.
We will still have an update.
Yep.
Decorah.
Good afternoon.
Decorah.
It is 1 p.m. and we are here for our Human Resources Update. We have Decorah Anderson Cook online with us today and Gina Saldana with us in the room.
Good
Did I say your last name correctly?
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon, commissioners. Is Cindy joining us?
She's here.
Okay. So our first
Hi, Decorah.
Hi. Our first topic is labor relations, and HR is requesting about a 10-minute executive session to discuss labor relations.
I got it, sir.
10 minutes for negotiations.
Yes.
We will be going into executive session for 10 minutes, beginning at 1 p.m., coming out at 1:10 p.m. for negotiations, RCW 42.30.1404A.
I apologize, you said 110.
Let's go 111. Yeah, 101 to 111, 10 minutes. We are now out of executive session. We will open public comment for our human resources meeting. Do we have any members online that have public comment for the commissioners?
We have 2 call-in users. We have Jim and Cammie. Do you have public comment today? Jim or Cammie?
No.
We need to close public comment? Or does it matter?
Doing that before.
I don't know. I can't say I remember.
Rob, you had closed it before.
Did close it before? I think.
Yes.
I'll entertain a motion to close public comment portion of this human resources meeting.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Okay. Thank you, commissioners. Item number 3, employee evaluation, no topics. That was item number 2. Item number 3, personnel disciplinary matter. We are requesting another executive session for about 5 minutes.
What's the topic on this one?
Disciplinary matter, personnel disciplinary.
5
minutes. 110, 1 out. Yeah, you guys put it in here already.
Thanks,
Okay,
Decorah.
we will go into executive session beginning at 1:13, returning at 1:18 for personnel disciplinary matters, RCW 42.30.1101F. We are going to extend executive session for 10 more minutes, returning at 1:28. We are now out of executive session.
Okay. The 5th topic that we have on our agenda is position management, command staff wages. The sheriff presented, I believe, 2 or 3 weeks ago now for command staff wages. Does the board have a decision on that request?
My request would be, I think they've all gotten the 2.7%, and Joey, or the sheriff, did get a increase in July with all the other elected officials minus the commissioners, and I'm fine with that, the same increase that every other employee, besides the sheriff and the jail, the corrections, but that's just my thoughts on it. And the sheriff will be getting another one in July 1.
Per resolution.
I would agree with that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good with it.
Okay, so no spread increase for command staff for this year.
Correct. And we will be doing a salary survey, and all the comparable counties will be looped in, and we'll have an accurate.
Okay, yeah.
Happening soon, starting soon.
Okay. Thank you. The sixth item on our agenda under budget, finance, and compensation is a 105 fund balance. So that is the fund that the board approved position management requests come out of. The number, I believe, was it 1.5 million for positions?
For 2025?
Yes.
I thought we dropped it down to 1.1. This is where it's confusing because I have my budget book.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if we did the transfer in January. I don't know where that 1.1 or where that money ended up going. But what, I think, Rob, did you find it in your, was it in?
No, I can't figure out the difference, the 3.5 to the 2.5.
3.5 million?
Yeah, Daryl
So
keeps
that could
saying
have
that,
been-
I can't
It was
figure,
deposited
so it
in
must have been $1 million.
this year.
Okay.
Right.
HR did request a balance update from Mandy because the board has already approved a lot of positions that's supposed to come out of that fund. The next big ask that's gonna come in front of the board likely next week is the prosecuting attorney's office and public defender's office wage restructure. And so that's gonna be a huge ask, and we would just wanna make sure that there's appropriate funds available when both offices make that request. And so, like I mentioned before, we will be meeting with Mandy hopefully Friday, and we're gonna request an update on that as well. But wondering if you guys knew what that balance was, if you guys had any conversations with finance about it.
Have had conversation, we just can't figure it out.
Okay.
Yeah, we were thinking we should have a meeting with Daryl and Mandy for the accounting office at the same time so that we can hash that out.
And Mandy may know
That-
exactly where it's at, we just don't know.
Okay.
And that would be wonderful if you do have a meeting, if we could get invited to that so we can all be on the same page. We also, the other expenses that are going to come out of that is the training expenses. I'm assuming from NACO training, that's going to come out of that. And out of that fund is the wage study, which is going to be an pretty significant expense, and we don't want to overspend in that.
So if and when that gets scheduled, Barb, if you could send Decorah and I an invite.
Is that something the board wants us to work on right now?
I think we need to figure it out.
Okay. Meeting with Daryl, Mandy, and HR regarding Fund 105.
Yes, Fund 105 fund balance. Thank you, Barb. Okay, item number 6. Am I off? Yes, I'm off. Item number 6, the county executive job description. Did the board have an opportunity to review that job description? Are there any questions, comments, edits? I know Cindy, last time you reviewed it and we're okay. Kevin, Rob, did you have an opportunity to review?
Yeah, I thought it looked okay.
Yeah, we looked at it, 2 weeks ago?
Did you respond to
Last week,
Dan?
Last week.
You need an answer by, maybe it was April 2nd.
Okay. Thank you.
So you are good for us to post and move forward?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do we want to have any, before we say yes, post, do we want to have any work sessions on this before we post? So we don't just, bring someone.
Well,
in
the next step will be to do comps for the position. We wanted to make sure that the job description and duties were in place, and then we can do some comparable counties and for wages. And then I would recommend doing work studies.
Okay.
Work sessions, yeah.
Okay. benefits, none. Other, Decorah received an invitation from the Association of Washington Cities to participate in their annual benefits and salaries, I believe, wages study survey. And so that project will commence May 2nd. I believe they give us about a month to gather all the data, but that is a very cumbersome project. It's number 7 on Decorah's project list. So just making the board aware that potentially there might be some slow wait times for HR. We have a lot of projects we're balancing, so everybody's patience is appreciated as we work through completing all those.
Will they be putting out another booklet? Because they stopped doing the booklet before they would have a booklet, so it was really nice to just flip through and go, oh, okay, this is what it is.
Yeah.
It was really nice.
Yeah, they don't produce books anymore, Cindy, but they do. I mean, it all is online. So we have that resource at our fingers anytime we need it. So that's what this is for us to continue to participate in it. And then we don't have to pay for it each year, as long as we're contributing to it.
And this is the Association of Counties or WASAC?
It's the
Association of Cities.
Okay.
Washington Cities.
AWC.
Okay.
Counties and cities both participate in it.
That was the last item on the HR agenda. Do the commissioners have any questions or comments?
I think of any more that I have.
Thank you.
Looks like we're hanging on there with the insurance. Barb, thank you, Barb, for sending that information from your insurance meeting, health insurance.
Oh, yes, yes.
Our reserves are very healthy. We're excited to hear that.
Hopefully it continues to stay that way.
Yes. We are 2 times, what Dan said in the meeting is that we were 2 times above what we need to have the requirement by the state. So that's good news.
That's really good news because we've always been very healthy.
Yeah.
We were not. And then when Madeline came on, it took her a while to figure out what the problem was, but
yes,
it was not fun. So thank you.
Nothing else? We will go into recess until 2 p.m. and we're back with our weekly commission meeting. Good afternoon. It is 2 p.m. and we are here for our weekly commissioners meeting. I will now call the meeting to order and begin with an open forum for public input. 3 minutes per person, 15-minute time limit. We have 2 in the audience. Jerome, no comment.
No comment this
Joseph,
week.
do you have any public comment?
I had a question. I've been driving back and forth from Moses Lake and have noticed a little bit accumulation of trash since the wind's starting to pick up and blow things around. I know there's several community cleanups planned. Is that in conjunction with the city of Moses Lake at all? Do you know? Okay.
I don't know.
Does consolidated disposal, are they part of cleaning up between this transfer station and the landfill?
I don't think so, but I don't know that.
I do know that if a group of like Boy Scouts or someone from the community wanted to have a cleanup, that they provide gloves and garbage bags.
Okay.
So that's what I do know.
Who is that provides those?
Consolidated.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the issue that I've heard is we, as the county, there's so much liability in putting those groups in the right of ways that the county doesn't support it.
Yeah.
That was the last time somebody came offering to do some cleanup. Public Works couldn't support it.
And that's a state highway, so.
So it'd be DOT.
DOT that has to do the cleanup.
For the county roads, we did budget to have 2 full-time employees on basically litter pickup around the county on corridors. And they're not hired yet, but the positions are open.
Okay.
And they will basically travel around and pick up glass bottles and trash because, a glass bottle in a farm field can ruin a whole crop. So
Does that include the sand dunes as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're gonna try to not, have that be a full-time spot.
Yeah.
A lot.
Scorpions are really good about cleaning up out there all the time.
Yeah.
So that's helpful.
Yeah, and the garbage out there is funded by a sheriff's office grant.
There's a few fishing groups that are talking about having spot cleanups for the next 2 months down by the spillways, so. And then the fill is always a hot spot for activity, so we'll probably have something there too.
Any other item?
There was an increase of gun activity with gangs in the area. We had a chance when I was in Wisconsin to work with the gang reduction project. And essentially it was former gang members that turned their life around, would go into high schools and talk about opportunities to get out of the gang and contribute rather than become a menace. And so going to consider maybe trying to grab a few folks together in the area and talk about what we can do to make a difference.
I think we need to start like in the 6th grade, 7th grade, on a 5th grade.
Yeah.
Seems like they're younger and younger every year.
Yeah, there was always that extra level of a shield for those that were calling the shots to prevent arrest, because the younger and younger, they'd get the folks to go out and commit the crimes and activities, so they would be remained in protective positions. But no.
That's not good.
Let me pass that down to Cindy. Okay, we don't have any other public in the room. Barb, we see we have one caller online.
We have one. Cami, you have been unmuted. Cami, do you have any public comment today?
All right. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second that.
Motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed say nay. Agenda is approved as motion. Do we have any correspondence? I saw one email, Caitlin, you sent to us. Do we have any others?
Yes, you have a few. So the email that I sent to you guys earlier, I saw that Kevin responded to it already. The SB 5195 from
Groundwater.
Huh?
Oh, that's groundwater. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yes, yeah, the Odessa groundwater replacement program. Kevin already responded to that. I was not sure if you two were wanting to respond. I was originally planning on bringing it up to see if you guys wanted to have it drafted as a letter that all three of you signed and then emailed back to them.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. When's it due?
I don't see a due date.
Sometimes they just have such a
Well,
short,
yeah, they usually have a really short.
so we could just do individual signatures.
Do you want it on letterhead or do you want to each just respond to the email on your own? Kevin has already responded. Okay.
I would do letterhead.
Cindy, what would you prefer?
I think letterhead is a little more powerful than just.
Columbia Basin Development League also reached out to me because we did not plan
I think we can just do it online here. We can.
to do the 248 funding request. Adams County and Columbia Basin Development League are doing the funding request for 248. So Public Works is just getting together the documents we used on 247 to submit for 248, and Columbia Basin Development League will just work it through basically on behalf of Grant and Adams. And Cindy, you said that just responding to this.
Oh, wait, I'm just looking, because it raised, I have a little link that you can click and then
Yeah,
support.
that's right. At the top. Right there.
Right here.
No, that one right there. Yep. So I just responded to that email.
Okay.
You responded to the email on or the link.
For the Landowners Association, the email link there, so that's Aquifer project.
This one? Or this one?
Yeah, I just sent it really short.
Right, the email one.
Yeah, this one?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, done. I don't know if we can do it with our,
Rob, I'm sorry, which one were you talking about? The 248?
Yeah, just a bridge replacement, basically. But Columbia Basin Development League is still working forward on that with Adams County because it benefits Adams County. So they had sent an email to Dave and I today, and obviously Dave is not here today. So I just responded and said, sorry, Dave's not here. I don't know if he'll be responding. He hadn't responded in the last week or two. And he did bring it up last week in an update. So I just responded, what are you trying to get from us? And basically they just said they wanted to have our support working on 248. And I said, okay, you have the support as far as doing it. But then they needed some documents. So Andy was gonna get them together. And he's on that email.
The next one I have is, it's another letter of support. This one's for the Port of Moses Lakes fiscal year 25 congressionally directed spending request. Barb forwarded it to you guys, I believe yesterday or this morning. They wanted it signed and returned to them yesterday, is what it is. But we did not get it until it was either Friday afternoon or Monday morning that we got it. So they were asking if the commissioners would be willing to consider having it be a walk-on to sign it today and get back to them. While you review that, I'll just run real quick. You're gonna have another letter of support that'll be on consent next week for the Cooley Medical Center. You guys have signed a letter of support like that last year, previous years. So just heads up that that'll be coming next week. Was there any decision made with the sleep center planning? The email that we received from Hope Source, were you guys wanting us to schedule a meeting with Hope Source in the city? Were you guys going to do that on your own?
I don't know. Probably should do one, but has the city council made their decisions yet? Or is this just getting rumblings from community leaders so that we know it's coming? I mean, it sounds like Hope Source knows it's coming.
It sounds like the city has made that decision.
They did it on Tuesday.
And it will start in June.
Okay.
some closure,
Then
but
yeah,
then they have a
just-
new,
June through September. And
what
we
do
got-
the city council members, are they,
Well, they wouldn't be in
It won't
until
be
next
until
year.
next year.
And their new administrator just started last week.
Yeah. I mean, I personally think we need to all have a discussion together, figure out what their thoughts are. But
We
that's
do
just me.
have scheduled a meeting with the new administrator here in a couple of weeks, so he will be coming forward, but it's just a meet and greet for the.
You guys had talked earlier about maybe doing something with Hope Source in the city. I could reach out to,
We need to find out from the city council what they're thinking.
that would be up to you.
go do a little mind reading and figure out what,
Well, the hard part is it's not just one of them, right? Realistically,
No, it's not.
let's carry on, what is our
it's the
grant in?
majority.
We
You just
grant-
put it
we don't
back
have
in
to,
today.
we don't have to take that grant. We can let it go, because we just don't let it to the city of Moses Lake. And then Hope Source or whoever can go directly and leave the county out. We don't have to. But I think it ends this year or next year. Could end this year, and that's probably why they're letting us know they're not gonna do it. Gary?
Gary is not on.
I just sent her a message to log on.
I guess if that's the option, then we can just let Hope Source.
Yeah, let it lapse.
But then where does that put Hope Source? I mean, are they?
They'll deal it directly, and then they would get, because
They'll get all the grant.
we may take, well, or the housing authority, or whoever wants to do it. We're just, won't be going administered through the county. The state would do it.
And what was the purpose of us doing it in the first place?
Probably the way it breaks out.
I think it came out through COVID. I don't know.
Harry gets on, we can ask.
I am promoting her to a panelist right now.
Gary, on the grant that is paid Hope Source that they would like to terminate, when they're a subrecipient, I guess, of ours, when is that grant up of ours? So we contract with through Commerce.
I'm sorry, Cindy, what was that?
The grant that funds the sleep center through Moses Lake to Hope Source, when does that grant expire?
That would be the EHF grant, the Emergency Housing Fund grant, that comes up ending in June.
Of this year?
Yeah, and then we're not sure yet because that grant was put underneath the CHG grant. And because the legislative session hasn't ended, Commerce doesn't know if it's going to continue that way or not. I was just in a meeting with Commerce and they are saying they will not know anything until probably the first week of May. But then they also get the document recording fees that is used for housing as well. So I don't know if they need to, if they're not going to do the sleep center. I'm not sure how that works, if we need to continue doing an agreement with them on those document recording fees.
I think that's a portion the city gets, and they can do whatever they want with that portion of the filing fee. That was that newer legislation that went directly to the largest city, or however it was calculated. So it is not in the division of we call it the House Bill 2160 funds, where part of it goes to New Hope, part of it goes to the Housing Authority.
Housing Authority, yeah.
Of our own little bundle that doesn't get messed, it doesn't get included. They can pull out theirs and do, as long as it's within the scope. We just have to monitor and make sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing with it.
Okay.
Okay, so there may not even be any EHG. Or EHS, did you say EHS or EHG?
CHG, there will be some, but Commerce said to expect at least a 20% lower amount. And they're not sure in which categories yet of that grant.
What was the current amount of the EHF grant?
Let me look here. Do you want just for City of Moses Lake?
Does Housing Authority also use it?
No.
Okay.
Wait, yes, they do. Housing Authority, New Hope. Let me get in there. No, Housing Authority does not. It's City of Moses Lake, Hope Source, and New Hope. Did you want the amount for the EHF for the entire amount or just for City of Moses Lake?
Just the city one. Well, I mean, if you'll give me the 3, I'd take that.
Okay. Let's see here.
So Barb, this letter you sent that was from the Hope Source.
Sure.
Is that right?
The sleep center one?
Yeah.
It was from
It's from Hope Source.
Looks like that's where it came from.
Okay. So the last round, City of Moses Lake got the, what was it, 585. And that was when Commerce joined the two, the CHG and the EHF grants. Let's see. Yeah, EHF, Moses Lake, 585,000. Hope Source, 370,123. And New Hope. New Hope received 225,123.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome.
So I see in the letter that Hope Source sent, what they recommend that we engage in discussions with City Council, the County Commissioner, and Hope Source to discuss the immediate and long-term direction of the sleep center.
Yeah, so we could invite them here.
I guess that's where we should start. And
Did you want to do it after May? You mentioned after May.
Well, if it's not gonna be in the budget, then I don't think any of these guys are gonna wanna continue funding it if it's not in the budget.
Yeah, so waiting until the budget comes out would make sense.
So I think waiting and then
mid-May.
And then just make that decision. Maybe just let them know.
You might do a response that's what we're thinking, yeah.
That letter of support, the one that they had requested to be a walk-on. Did you want to chance?
Oh, this one for
Support of Moses Lake.
the port. Are we wanting to do walk-on support letters, or does it matter? It's not a
That was
big
one, I didn't
deal.
see it on here, so I didn't, I was looking for
They
it.
requested it yesterday, forwarded it to the board.
It's
Okay,
an
I'm
emergency
sorry,
one.
it's probably.
It's not anything that is that big. They're just trying to get $1.2 million of probably the fast funding.
Moses Lake. I know I've had one from since.
I wouldn't want to delay. I mean, I would support it.
All right. Any other items?
Yes, one last one, sorry. Barb Durbeck got back to me about the LTAC logo use. Since it's not registered with the Secretary of State, she said that you don't actually have a legal basis to prohibit the use. If you want to be in the business of deciding who may be able to use it and when, then we can start going down the path of registering the LTAC logo with the Secretary of State. If not, it would be up to the commissioners how you want to respond to the Ephrata Chamber Visitor Center using it on items that they're going to sell. How would you like to proceed?
I don't have an issue with them using the logo.
Personally, if it's a promotional item for Grant County, I think it's great, but if it's something other than a promotional item, I would have an issue with it, but for the chamber, I think it's good.
Yeah, thank you for doing the research, so it sounds like they will be able to use it.
Are you guys wanting any follow-up info, like what they're going to put it on? Or
The only thing I would be interested in would just to make sure they're not using LTAC funding to buy promotional items with the LTAC logo that they sell.
Okay.
I don't think they would. Obviously, they have more budget lines than just that, but that would be the only thing I would want to confirm. Other than that, they appreciate the funds that they're getting to host the events they're hosting, and legally you have to you should put the LTAC logo on any promotional things you're doing, so I don't have an issue with it.
I agree.
I will respond to them. That's all that I had. 20 minutes later.
That's all right. Normally we're out already. Commissioners, do you have any letters of support or correspondence?
No, already took care of them.
Round table then? Do we have any round table items? You're good, just go.
The public comment portion of human resources meetings. In the past, you guys have not made a motion to close that. You have just moved through it like you do for the commissioners meetings. Are you wanting to have that be something that you make a motion for?
It doesn't matter how we do it as long as we just do it the same.
Okay.
I mean, we can do a motion, it's not that big a deal, we just need to
If we
doing.
don't need to do a
then
motion,
we
it's
don't
less
need to do
paperwork.
it.
You have not done the motions in the past. You have not done it for this one either. Just wanted to put it out there.
Motion for what on this one?
To close the public comment portion. The
Of the
the
commissioner.
forum for public
Yeah,
input,
we
yes.
don't. Yeah.
Really do it during a hearing.
I don't think it's necessary.
That's it, I'm done.
We can have
Is
a
that it,
round
Madam
table.
Caitlin?
That's it.
The end of September, WCRG will be having their retreat, and I was talking to Blair. And so my retreat, because I'm a board member, is paid for by WCRG. It will be in Leavenworth this year. I think it's like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And Blair was asking if it's something technically they need to go. No, but there are other risk managers that are invited that they do go, but the county pays for their portion. And Shane Heston also attends, but Shane pays his own way through there. You're kind of talking about what's up and coming, how they're formulating, from the insurance, if they're doing any changes, and anticipated rate increase. There's a lot of helpful information, so I think it would be money well spent to have Blair attend. He used to always attend previously, but in a different capacity. So he
was employed by them.
What's his thoughts on it? Does he think it's?
I think he would like to
beneficial?
attend, just because other risk managers, not all of them, but You can ask Blair how many.
Do they attend in place of commissioners or with
No,
commissioners?
no, because commissioners are board members, so they attend with their board, as part of the meeting. They don't sit at the table, but they were there, they're there with the discussions, like Shane is. A front seat to what's coming down the pike.
I don't have a problem with it if it's in our budget somewhere for him to attend.
Well, it's not really because we don't have a budget for him.
But he'd be in the HR budget, so I don't know what their training and travel
Yeah.
budget is. Because it was kind of an add-on.
Maybe we talk to
Did
HR
we
and find out.
put funding in though for travel
I don't think
for
so.
that position? Because we did it after, he was hired after the budget. Blair, are you, I don't know. how
He's
long
not on.
He left, yeah.
That's in when?
The
September?
end of September.
We have plenty of
We
time
got some
to.
time to
I think
figure that
there
out.
might be some, most of the meals are supplied by the retreat.
Yeah, I would just ask to get an estimated cost for him to go and then see what budget he would basically come out of and wait a little while and
Like
see
you
where
said,
we're
I
at.
don't have a budget, so that's what, okay.
Is it a one-day conference or?
No, it's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Starts Wednesday night and then all day Thursday and then early afternoon, like after lunch, we're done. We go to lunch
So
and then
what do you need to?
I'm just
stay at a
asking.
Hotel
'cause-
or just travel? for one day or something?
No, I'm assuming they have a hotel there in Leavenworth that he would just need a hotel. I doubt that they would charge him to go to the conference, but I don't know. I haven't had to pay, so I don't know what the fee would be. But I'll ask him.
Decorah just sent me a message to tell you that there are no funds allocated for this in the HR budget.
Okay.
Oh,
Oh, but we would have it in the insurance budget. We're already $2 million short, but what's another $600? Okay, I'll send you an email. Okay, done.
Any other roundtable items? No? All right.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the 15 consent agenda items.
I'll second that, Mr. Chairman.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Consent agenda items 1 through 15 have been approved.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve a walk-on item for central services. It is a Western States, or Stance Construction for the fairgrounds in the amount of $36,519.66 for the horse barn water upgrades.
I'll second that.
Do you want me to do one
Want me
each
to do one too?
individually? I have a second one. Mr. Chair, I also move that we submit a second, consent agenda item, a letter of support for the Port of Moses Lake for the congressionally directed spending that was due yesterday. So hence the quick timeline.
I'll second that one as well.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed say nay. Motion passes to approve the 2 walk-on consent items for horse barn water upgrades and congressional spending. as noted by Commissioner Carr.
Blair said he would get us the numbers for the retreat.
Grab a blue pen.
I have one. Oh,
Not a fancy one. See, it's on.
it's not a fancy one. That one's not much fancier. It's a letter of support.
This one out over here.
This is a contract for horse water.
Horses drinking some good water.
You know what they say about horses and water? It's an AP badge.
Supply cords to,
Did you sign the
when you
AP
go to
badge?
whiskey.
I don't know where at.
Somewhere trying to
Next
send
page.
someone
No,
to
city water is
whiskey out
a
of,
struggle for the farm
I
animal.
don't see at the rick houses.
Because of the chlorine?
They age all the whiskey. Bottle, yeah.
So reporting surcharge fee distribution agreement.
I don't know if they have one.
Put them up or down.
I don't care.
Well, they do.
Some
Make it
municipal
happen.
water, just not most.
What's the population size that you have to have when, like, if you're above a certain population size, you have to put chlorine in the water? What is it? It's horrible.
Class B.
They check it daily.
It's a fun place to go.
Municipal water. Has to be checked daily.
Gotta be chlorinated. I was freaking out. I dumped half my chlorinator tank. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm over.
Supposed to surplus.
And then I wasn't.
Bring it with here to with the leaks.
Okay. Let's see if I can get one off of it.
I'll go the next time, I'll need a wooden bill.
Proclamation, sexual assault awareness
This
month.
week.
I did with the sheriff and the judge of their retreat.
That's one of the best.
It's like one of the very last items. It is for like sexual abuse.
Oh.
It's not abuse, but they call it.
I think it'd be fun to go to one of those shot shows. Or the
Shot
gun-
show?
the
You wanna go
gun-
to shot
the gun-
show?
The gun thing,
Yeah,
the
me
big
too.
gun one.
I would love to go. Yeah, especially if the county would pay. What a trip.
I think that you as a county commissioner should go.
No, I'm gonna pass.
Do have besides the coroner and the sheriff's office, commissioners can have a badge.
Local agency standard consultant agreement.
I'd like to request a
badge?
badge, please. You have a badge? Wow.
It was a centennial. The badge is centennial.
The coin?
No, it was just actual badge for the frame. But that's when they were telling me, which
Who knows?
everybody can have a badge. Coroner is the only one who can arrest the sheriff.
Really?
Yeah. It's the top.
Resolution in the matter of transferring
Unless
jurisdiction.
maybe a judge, but I don't know. Maybe not county minor. You think the coroner was that important?
The coroner is very important. I'd like that on the record that I know the coroner is very important. I just didn't realize that the coroner was the only one that could arrest a sheriff. Is it only when he's on duty or is it anytime? Like
Coroner is always.
Amendment 18, Mott McDonald.
Probably more than the story. I'm sure others could arrest.
Resolution, notice of hearing.
Let me get back to you because I just like to do the manual and I have all these questions. If I
What
don't
about
answer them,
the old POTUS, Mr. President,
You can't arrest anybody.
interlocal agreement?
He can just have you
What's even the
taken
point of
care
being president then, if you can't arrest anybody you want?
And they can hold you for whatever reason. They can terminate you for whatever reason. The only cool part about being president would be Air Force One, the helicopter, and getting a motorcade everywhere you go. Other than that,
You're rich enough, you could do that.
You can just do it on your own.
it's true.
You don't have to get elected, because that's the hard part. Honestly, I don't know anything about being a president. So PD privilege tax, there is a resolution with that, but I forgot the flag, I'm sorry.
We need another 2 or 3 votes. It's just the most impressive tour.
$2,555,514.
This is not how the paper trail, this is supposed to have a paper. Oh, wait,
Probably.
it comes on here. Here.
Oh, part of that. There you go. That's it.
Wow, that's great. Okay, so we have a hearing at 3.
Correct.
And what is it?
Public Works Surplus.
Okay, so our weekly consent agenda meeting is over at 2:38, and we will be back at 3 p.m. for a Public Works Surplus open record public hearing. Good afternoon. It is Tuesday, April 1st, 3 p.m. and we're here for an open record public hearing for Public Works to request a hearing to declare certain county-owned property surplus and the sale of which to publicsurplus.com and or gov deals. To give us a overview of the items and vehicles, we have John Spees.
Good afternoon.
So
These, all these items have been replaced. So none of these are a fleet reduction or anything. So, first two are the same, the ADCO signs. These are the big 8-foot signs that we put on the roadsides. And we replaced them with same size units. So, 117, that was a supervisor pickup that got replaced. Let's see. 571, that is an old flatbed trailer that the bridge crews had. That's probably got 300,000 miles on it. So that one it was time for it to go. So 612, that's an escape from youth services. 1220 is actually an old fifth wheel truck. Been around for a long time. So used to pull our water trailer around. So 1004, that's a cab chassis, was a service truck. We kept the service body, put it on a different chassis, and so we're just surplusing the cab chassis. 2200, old Sterling dump truck, that actually belongs to solid waste. I'm just surplusing it for them. 3111 is a grader pickup. 7091, that is a 16 Ford Explorer that will be sold to the Sheriff's Department for $5,500. 7098 Chevy Tahoe, also replaced. That one has a bad engine in it. We've had a few of those. And 7115 and 7124, both Explorer Pursuit patrol cars. They were replaced with Durangos. Any questions?
Sterling dump truck. In the letter, in the memo, Barb, it looks like we may have forgotten.
In their memo,
Yeah, it doesn't matter if but it's listed in the back.
the whole thing was posted, their memo
Okay.
in front, and then the spreadsheets that were attached. That's all on the website.
Okay, it's probably just me. No, it says 13. Okay, I probably skipped a line there.
No questions for John?
Thank you, John.
You're welcome.
Okay, we will then open up the public comment portion of this hearing. We have no public here in the audience. We have one call-in user.
Okay, Cammie, I'm gonna unmute you. Do you have public comment today for the hearing? Cammie? Nope.
Mr. Chair, I move we close the public comment portion of this hearing.
Second that.
There's been a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes to close the public comment portion of this hearing.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the surplus list that was supplied to us by Mr. Spees.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes to as made by Commissioner Carter. Thank you. And this concludes our public hearing at 3:05 p.m. Good afternoon. It is 3:15 p.m. on Tuesday, April 1st, and we are here for an open record public hearing to consider public surplus of items from Grant County Technology Services. To give us an overview of these items, we have Joe Carter and Tom Gaines with us.
Joe Carter, Grant County Technology Services. So I've submitted a request to surplus a list of computer assets that have been replaced within the last 6 months to a year. Probably going to come back another time this year and ask for another list of stuff because we just keep knocking them down. All these will wind up going to either the trash or consolidated disposal. Moses Lake has been taking a bunch of the stuff. So we take like a pickup and a van load at a time over on like Thursdays and Fridays. So at least they're not charging us. So we're trying to keep the cost to a minimum.
They just recycle.
Yeah, basically they are no longer a problem. So, and that's the most efficient way we've been able to find. We searched for a long time to try and get anyone to come get this stuff. And it's just, I don't know why the market dried up. This stuff still exists, so.
We used to have an auction program, but you'd auction off a whole pallet, somebody would pay for it, and then they'd never show up and pick it up.
Yeah, we still have to dispose of it. And then you have this weirdness of like, keep the money and give it back. And the amount of money that we pay staff in order to set things up for an auction is cost prohibitive.
That's not worth it.
Yeah. So please make these go away for me. I would be very, very grateful.
How many items total is it? Don't know.
It's these
Pages.
4 pages.
Yeah, I see them. I just
I
never
know.
get a number.
It's a lot, sir.
Couple hundred.
Probably
At
at least
least.
that. Yeah, at least that.
There are probably 75 items per page.
It's a mixture of scanners, printers, computers, monitors, keyboards, mice, all that kind of garbage. So. And we recycle some of these that get left around. Will wind up getting retagged and put back into service likely. So we still try to make the best use of what we have, even if it's garbage, quote unquote. So.
Commissioners, any questions?
None, thank you.
All right.
Okay, then we will open up the public hearing portion. We have no one in the room. Same one call-in user still online.
Okay, Cammie, you're unmuted. Would you have any comment for today's public hearing? Okay, nope.
Mr. Chair, I move that we close the public comment portion of this hearing.
Second that.
Motion and second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Public comment portion of this hearing has been closed.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the surplus list submitted to us from Technology Services.
I will second that.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed say nay. Motion passes to grant the surplus of the items supplied by Grant County Technical Services. Thank you. This concludes our hearing as well as our day. So it is 3:19 and we will adjourn.